Jake in the midfield, I mean, you can see why Jake was a natural midfielder. I mean, he's a very solid right back. I enjoy him playing there. But, man, the more I see him in the midfield, the more I kind of want us to go out there, sign a bona fide right back that can really lock down that from a starting position and let Jake fly in the midfield because he is an engine that keeps this game going. And it's real fun to watch.
Real fun to watch, dude.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of No Other Pod. I'm Jimmy, along with my good buddy, award-winning Daniel Kooser. How you doing, my friend?
You know, that's why I couldn't watch the game live. That's why I couldn't attend Saturday, man. I was too busy winning another acting award. And, for Tootsie. Did you see my jacket?
It was bright red, bedazzled.
Yeah, bro. I had
black trim.
I even wore dangly earrings.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was a choice. And I've never done anything like that in my life. I felt so self-conscious. People were like, fuck it, dude, just do it. And I was like, okay, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it matched the stars on my wrist. They were like red stars. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Did you get compliments on them?
Oh, all night. I was like, okay, this is what I didn't want though. I don't want that. You didn't want attention.
You wore a spangly red blazer and dangling earrings, and you're like, please don't look at me.
And it was funny. The theater's director also wore a red sequin jacket like that. And I did the whole well, one of us has got to change.
That's awesome.
Pretty funny. I did watch the game though Sunday morning or Sunday evening, and I was pleasantly pleased.
It was fun.
It was great.
It didn't start off as fun as it ended. It was a little slow to get going, but we'll break it down. All sorts of fun that happened. Not really sure that the win means much in the scheme of the season at this point, to be honest. But
how many games left? Fun.
Yeah, mathematically. Technically, there's still a lot, but I mean, let's be real.
Wouldn't that be something?
It would
go on a little run here. Wouldn't that be something?
I mean, we're at the point now mathematically where it's like, yeah, technically, mathematically, it's possible, but you have to almost take every single point possible, and some other teams have to basically drop every single point possible, and it's probably not happening. But
dug ourselves a bigger hole than last year, which I didn't think was possible.
No, but it's still more fun to watch a 3-0 win than it is to watch a loss. So I will take that any day of the week.
And it was a little bit rotated of a lineup. Things felt, gearing up for Tuesday. We don't really play Tuesday games, but Open Cup's among us, folks. And I don't know if this dropped Monday night or Tuesday morning, but get excited because it's Open Cup time.
It is Open Cup. And I do have to, you mentioned a little bit of the rotation, and it was funny. Our friend Chad Smith from the Kansas City Soccer Journal, this is nothing having to do with him specifically, but it's funny because he's got a way where he'll ask a question, and sometimes Peter just gets a little snippy with Chad. And so Chad asked a question about rotation in the lineup, and Peter, I don't think they included this in the quote sheet, but Peter basically said, because Chad was like, are you looking toward Tuesday? It's a big game, Open Cup, and Peter was like, well, we got a result tonight. So clearly I put out a lineup to get a result, and it got a result. So I don't know, what is it that I don't know what you're expecting. And they kind of left it at that. But then this is where I felt bad for Chad, because then later somebody asked almost the exact same question, and I'm sitting there in my chair and I'm going, this is the question that Chad asked. And Peter gave a full paragraph answer and went into detail about, and even said, the other thing you have to understand is, usually we play Saturday then Wednesday, but we're playing Saturday then Tuesday, and the game on Tuesday is incredibly important. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, am I on crazy pills? Because I feel like this is exactly what Chad just tried to ask, and Peter shot him down.
Was this before or after Daniel Sperry asked this question and then admitted that he talks too much?
I think it was after.
He asked this question, Daniel, love you, dog. I miss your hugs, bro. I hope I see you soon. But he says, I'm sorry, I talk too much.
What Peter did was Peter was like, yeah, I'm going to answer the first of the 7 questions in there.
Did he say 7?
It was something like that, yeah.
Oh, no.
So It's always.
I love the man, but he could. Sperry can deliver a keynote. I mean, he really could. He could get up there.
He could. But it was just funny. So shout out to Sperry. Shout out to Chad Smith. But I did feel a little bit bad for Chad. I even said to Chad after, I was like, wasn't that the same question you asked? And feels like he got a lot better answer than you did. He was like, I don't know. He goes, I think he's tired of me talking about lineup changes, I guess.
I don't want it to seem like I'm making fun of people in general, but it's just the scenario, how funny things turn out, because I don't have the balls to be in that room. It's the room where it happens. Right. You guys are in there asking these questions from this very intense face. Mm-hmm. This man sits there and is just like, hit me with your, like, he is like Castle Grayskull or something.
Well, and credit to Chad, because, credit to Sperry too. He'll ask some tough questions, but, he's, works for the Star. He's got the back end of the Star. Chad, a little bit more of an independent media guy. He'll still get in there and ask questions that I'm like, I don't know if I'd ask that to Peter right now. Like I ask questions and sometimes I'll push a little bit, but it's not like I'm a AP reporter who's got the backing of big media behind me in case the coach gets mad at me. So I'm
right.
I try to pick my spots. But Chad will get in there. So
exactly. I'm not trying to be called into his office for being too negative or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's but we got KCSN behind us, bro. You can do no wrong. I say you start asking some hard hitters.
Guns blazing. Hello,
get in there.
Jimmy Mack, KCSN. First off, what gives you the right? Who do you think you are?
First off, who you voting for?
Not doing that.
No, that's too far.
Well, before we get too far down the road here, and get into this game fully, I got a question. And you know what? I think I know the answer for every single person who I'd ask this question to, but would you like an extra $500? Because if you would like an extra $500, go to bluewirepods.com/survey and complete the Blue Wire audience survey about you and your podcast listening habits for a chance to win a $500 gift card. This survey will help create a better advertising experience for audiences just like yourself, and in turn, it'll help this show. That's bluewirepods.com/survey, where all you have to do is answer some simple questions for a chance to win $500. Make sure to read the full terms and disclaimer, plus complete the survey for a chance to win. That's bluewirepods.com/survey, and the link will also be in the show notes of this episode.
Caught me off guard there.
You thought I was about to give you $500 free dollars.
I didn't know what was happening. I was like, are you testing me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you should go to bluewirepods.com/survey and fill it out, and you might get $500. I'm sure you listen to it.
I just did it while you were talking.
So there you go. Let's talk a little bit about the lineup in this game before we jump into it, because as you mentioned, this was a little bit of a different look, and we knew before this match, before the lineup came out, that we probably weren't going to see Caden Pierre, because the rumors had started to come out before this match that Caden Pierre was looking like he was going to be transferred to Genk of the Belgian league. It's a Belgian team over there. Fabrizio Romano, who's one of the most well-known, if not the most well-known, soccer journalist, especially when it comes to European transfers in the world, was the one who broke this story, which was kind of crazy for me seeing, Fab start talking about Caden Pierre. But then, Peter didn't really comment on it. Then we get to the lineup and we see Caden's not in the lineup. And then, he was there in the locker room in the postgame, but he's giving people hugs. And I heard Daniel Shallowy say, "I'm going to miss you, bro." So not confirmed, but he's over in Belgium as of this recording getting his physical. So we knew he wouldn't be in the lineup. But what we did see was something that we had not seen before, which was we saw Zoran Basong play defensive midfielder in a double pivot next to Jake Davis. And that was not the only rotation. We had Stephen Afrifa and Willie Agata who were starting, as right wing and striker in this 4-2-3-1. Volader was next to Fontas. Shelton obviously at right back, Leibold at left back, and Meila holding down the goal. But what did you think of this lineup when you saw it? Because there were some interesting changes that I don't know that I was prepared for.
Yeah, I mean, it was different. Having Jake Davis in there, but then also having Kyrie Shelton, I was like, what's happening here? who's playing what? I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I, when you see it, I'm like, I don't know, man. Orlando's in a pretty good playoff spot. They were even fighting for like home field advantage in the playoffs, and now it's kind of slipping away from them. But I really thought we'd really drop points here, especially looking at the lineup. And I was like, cool, man. All forces ahead on Tuesday for the Open Cup. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, when you have Johnny Russell on the bench, Alan Polito on the bench, Remy Voltaire on the bench, Logan Ndenbe on the bench. I mean, those are Danny Bracero on the bench. Those are arguably 4 or 5, starters for this club. Not to say that obviously, Agata, he might be more starter worthy than Polito right now. And there's questions about Basong, Leibel, Ndenbe, etc. But I mean, still, that's some serious firepower that's typically in the lineup that's on the bench. And I was very curious how Jake Davis and Zoran Basong were going to do next to each other in sort of that double pivot midfield role, because it was actually friend of the show, Jacob Peterson, who now is working in a scouting capacity for the club before the game, when I was talking to him briefly about Zoran Basong in the midfield. He was like, yeah, he played there as a kid, hasn't played there really in a professional capacity in a long time, but he's done it before, technically. So we'll see. And I thought he and Jake kind of bossed it in that midfield for as long as they were in there. I thought they did very well. Yeah,
100%, man. Jake Davis I feel like he's just come into his own, really about to make a name for himself. It is crazy. I enjoy watching him more than I ever thought I would.
You could pull off Gambit for Halloween.
Listen, Gambit's one of my favorites, dude. When I played like the arcade game, always. I always love the range guys. You're not gonna get close to me.
Yeah,
because I'm going to keep you at arm's length with these cards.
Yeah, but you practice your Cajun accent, you get the right costume, you got the look. You could be Gambit.
That would be great. I just watched X-Men Origins Wolverine the other day and saw Taylor Kitsch's Gambit.
It's not as fun.
Not as fun.
Not nearly as fun as Channing Tatum.
Definitely not. No.
I was a brief side note before we get back to the game. I was at the Kansas City Monarchs game. Or I was at the stadium before the game, actually threw the first pitch on Saturday night because we had a work event there. Went to, hang out with my work colleagues a little bit, and then walked over to Children's Mercy Park for the game and was there before the kickoff. But it was Disney night at the Monarchs game, so there was all sorts of characters. So I got a picture with Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, a couple people pointed out that Deadpool maybe had been hitting the chimichangas a little too hard, where I was like, look, come on now. Well, he's out there and he's doing a good job. He's playing the role, so let's chill out a little bit. It was 100 degrees and he's in a full Deadpool costume.
Unbelievable.
It was a good time. So if you haven't been to the Monarchs,
was this before the sporting game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first pitch for the Monarchs was like 6:35, so I got there a little before 6, hung out, had a drink for like half an hour, and then walked over to the Children's Mercy Park.
Did you buy a Monarchs ticket?
No, it was a work event.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had tickets through work.
Okay. I was like, dude, you didn't even stay for the game and you paid for that?
No, not at all. But
amazing.
They're fun. I've been to a couple of Monarchs games. They're good. Good time.
Absolutely, they're fun.
So, pretty cheap baseball ticket, too. But yeah, this lineup, I agree with you. I was looking at it and I was like, this is definitely, despite what Peter might want Chad Smith to think, this is definitely a lineup with an eye toward Tuesday in the US Open Cup Semifinal. But alas, it didn't quite go that way. So maybe we, before we get too far into the game, why don't we go ahead and take our break here, and then we'll come back, we'll jump into this game, and then talk Open Cup after that. So we'll be right back.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. Saving money should be easy, with no hoops and no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for just $15 a month with a purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it, and it turns out it really is that easy to get wireless plans for $15 a month. So to get started, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNNOP. There you'll see that right now you can get 3-month plans for only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And if you're worried about keeping your own phone or losing your contacts, with Mint Mobile, you can bring your own phone number along with all of your existing contacts. So find out how easy it is to switch to Mint Mobile right now and get 3 months of premium wireless service for just $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNNOP. That's mintmobile.com/KCSNNOP. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/KCSNNOP. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Buddy, last week, you know what I did? I went and saw Alien Romulus.
Oh, yeah? How was it?
Oh, my God. It's so scary, dude.
Yeah?
Like that.
Now, this one takes place in between the 2 original movies. Is that right? Like it's Alien and Alien Romulus and then Aliens?
Apparently it's right after number 1, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I was just, the whole time, I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, covering my mouth. Oh, gross. This different stuff. Scary stuff, man. It got back to like its horror roots.
Yeah.
Because Alien was like, we're a horror genre movie. This has horror elements. And then Aliens and Beyond was like, we're an action franchise now. Yeah. And this got back to horror for sure.
I'm not sure I've ever seen Aliens. I've seen Alien.
And fine. The first 2 are the best, obviously. Prometheus is pretty good.
Prometheus is like a prequel, right?
Yeah. So is Alien Covenant.
Alien Covenant, that's right. Okay. I've seen Alien versus Predator.
Prometheus was good, but Covenant was like, just kidding, we're an action franchise. And it's like, you don't have to be that way. You build some characters and make us care when they get murdered.
Yeah. So, well, I saw Deadpool and Wolverine for a second time last week while I was out of town. So that was fun. Enjoyed that.
As you should.
And I'm looking forward to Rings of Power starting at the end of this week, even though it's a controversial show amongst Lord of the Rings fans.
Is that on Thursday? Because I read The Hobbit. I'm ready to go.
It's not the same, but...
Oh, okay.
But Thursday, I think so. The 29th. Thursday, Friday, one of those. So, it should be good. I'm rewatching season 1 right now. So,
oof. And long shows.
8 episodes. It's not bad.
Yeah, but they're long.
They're like an hour.
I know. That's long.
It's a couple a night. It's not bad.
Couple a night? Whew. I can't listen to them talk and be like, hither bequeatheth. You know, it's how I can't get into Game of Thrones, man. Like, I can't understand what they're saying.
Well, I don't talk quite as, old English as Game of Thrones. Now, if you were to read The Lord of the Rings, he'll tell you like 27 pages on how hobbits make bread. So he gets like really into the details.
Peaky Blinders, the same thing, bruv. Talking the Peaky Blinders got to go murder. Couldn't understand them. But I watched it. And I was like, am I watching it because I enjoy it? Or am I watching it because I'm supposed to watch it because other people enjoy it?
Yeah, I haven't watched Peaky Blinders yet, but I'll add it to the list.
God. Here's some easy watching for you. The new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series on Paramount Plus. Now, that's a good time.
Okay, maybe I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Before we get back to the game, as you all know, we do have a text line that you can text in. And send us your thoughts, send us your questions. The KCSN hotline powered by Mint Mobile, 913-407-6524. You can send in questions. You can send in comments. And we did get one. This is from last week. Now it was after we recorded, so we hadn't been able to talk about it yet. But regarding Sporting Kansas City, this person says, have definitely shipped the regular season and given up on playoffs. The only hope for a trophy is the Open Cup, and a decision to not make that priority would be hard to make sense of. If they don't prioritize the Open Cup, then the winter transfer window should be all about splashing money and bringing in a significant amount of players. So I guess I would say if I look at the lineup that he put out in this game against Orlando, and you look at Peter's comments post-game, seems like he's prioritizing the Open Cup.
Seems like Open Cup's prioritized. I love that. I love it. We didn't get to this text because it came like right after we recorded. So I'm glad we circled back around and we're able to acknowledge it.
So thank you for sending that. But yeah, agree. I mean, I think at this point, like we said, mathematically, technically, Sporting still alive, but the chance of us actually making the playoffs are slim to none. So
very slim. I hate to say it, guys, but maybe start finding yourself a secondary team that you want to root for in the MLS Cup playoffs.
Ooh, is that what you do?
I do. I probably won't have time to watch all the games, but I will try to keep up with it. I did have the Leagues Cup final on my phone last night while I was doing my HBO Sunday stuff. Yeah, Columbus got their thing done, but I think that everyone's hoping, Leo Messi's good to go for MLS Cup playoffs, right?
He's missed more games for Miami than he's actually played, I think, of the eligible games.
Probably. Is he rumored to come back before the playoffs?
I mean, Tata said that he'll come back before the end of the season, but he also didn't really give a timeline. So who knows? I mean,
so that's obviously one people will watch. That will draw me. That will draw my viewership,
Yeah. I did see a funny video of Messi at the game, the Miami game, sitting on the bench in street clothes, and Luis Suarez's son, who looked like he's, 7, 8 years old. Messi reaches his hand out, tries to say hi to Suarez's kid, and Suarez's kid totally ignores him and walks right by him. And then Suarez's wife, the kid's mom, stops him and looks at him and is like, "Go back, say hi to him." What are you doing? I'm like, can you imagine just growing up around players of the caliber like Leo Messi, the greatest player in the history of the game, and just being like, I'm gonna ignore you. You're nothing to me.
I mean, it's just also, Mom, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me who to acknowledge, okay? Maybe I did acknowledge him already, and you didn't fucking know that. Just saying. Maybe they talked already, and Leo Messi was kind of, trying to bother him, and he's like, actually, I'd like to continue playing on my Game Boy Advance. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. It was so, when you see, how people freak out about Messi, just out and about, or people running on the field to just give him a hug or whatever, and this kid could not care less that Leo Messi was trying to give him a high five.
Could not care less. Yeah. Because people will risk jail time to go hug this man, just to wrap their arms around him and experience this Argentinian Jesus he's got going on.
It's so wild. It's wild. Let's talk about this game a little bit. The first 30, 40 minutes, maybe, not much really going on. And if anything, I think Orlando had the better chances for the vast majority of the first half. If you look at sort of how this game played out, I would say the first, 15, 20 minutes, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, SKC can, hold on and get a result out of this one. That'll be something, because Orlando really sort of kept coming. And then they sort of settled into the match a little bit and started looking a little bit better. And Orlando had some chances. And, I got to a point where I was like, if we just get to halftime and it's still 0-0, the way this game started, I'd consider that a victory. Because for big stretches of this match, it did not look like Sporting Kansas City was really going to be able to do much at all. And then right before the half, Sporting shows a little bit of life, and Steven Afrifa does a little bit of fancy footwork and goes to ground with the ball, is able to get it to Jake Davis, and Jake just starts driving toward his left side into the box, and he's dribbling around a couple people, suddenly gets the ball on his left foot, and this gorgeous little floater across the face of goal into the inside of the far post, just puts it past the Orlando keeper. Honestly, not really sure how he put that touch on the ball and did it so accurately, but he made this 1-0 before the half.
It's bananas. I mean, you got to give it up to, to Afrifa for getting in a pretty dangerous position, because he dribbles right into the middle of the circle at the top there, falls down, and just kind of kicks it away. And then Jake Davis just comes out of nowhere, scoops it up, dribbles around 3 guys, and just slots it home. I think it's amazing. Jake's like, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
You guys want to F around for 44 minutes? Step aside. I'm Jake motherfucking Davis.
Yeah, Jake, I mean, he dribbles around a solid 3 people, and honestly, credit to Afrifa. He uses his body to shield off some players, and even when he goes to ground, he does not give up on the play. A lot of times players go to ground and they turn and they call for a foul, or they grab the ball with their hands, assuming a foul is going to be called. Afrifa didn't do that. He kept fighting for the ball, and he got just enough of it with sort of his back foot that he was able to just squeeze it out there for Jake. And, whether it was intentional or not, I'm not really sure, but he did enough.
It's one of the coolest assists that Afrifa will ever have. I don't know, I put quotes on it because it was labeled an assist. They counted that. And Afrifa just fell down and tried to tap it out. I don't think he meant to pass to Jake. He was just like, get it away from me.
Right. Well, and Afrifa's been getting more playing time as of late, and Peter talked about him a number of weeks back, and he's really coming into his own. But Jake in the midfield, I mean, you can see why Jake was a natural midfielder. I mean, he's a very solid right back. I enjoy him playing there. But, man, the more I see him in the midfield, the more I kind of want us to go out there, sign a bona fide right back that can really lock down that from a starting position and let Jake fly in the midfield, because he is an engine that keeps this game going. And it's real fun to watch.
Real fun to watch, dude. I mean, so we go into the half with a 1-0 lead. That feels pretty cool. I'm pretty skeptical about it at that point, right? I'm like, okay, 1-0, like Orlando's got some players, man. They just re-signed a guy who's that Duncan McGuire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't take us but like 5 minutes to double our advantage here. And if you asked me if I would expect Daniel Shallowy to do a clearance of a ball from the opponent's box and sprint to the other end while something's happening, there's a build-up, there's a run happening, and he's the one who gets the goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane to me. I'm so happy for him. He needs this.
He does need this. It's wild. I mean, maybe the new haircut. I mean, Daniel's no Daniels, and you cut your hair and then you won an award. So maybe he cut his hair, he gets a goal. I mean,
You can't cut it that short. Okay, look at this. This is crazy.
You got the Jersey boy quaff going on right now.
I know. That's what's next.
But you're right. Daniel clears the ball of danger deep in Sporting KC territory, gets it out to Eric Tommy, and then, honestly, really good play by Eric Tommy. He sends it out wide to Jake Davis, who sends a beautiful ball to Eric Tommy back in the middle of the field, and Tommy makes the exact right decision, sees the overlapping run from Daniel. Daniel takes one touch to settle it, and then off of his left foot, which is unusual, I believe it was Paul Carr, who was sitting next to me in the press box, who's, works for True Media and knows basically more about data and analytics than anybody, who said of Daniel Shallowy's 61 goals, only 8 of them have been on his left foot. So This is a pretty rare thing for Daniel Shallowy to score off his left foot. So much so that I actually missed this goal live because Benny Feilhaber was inducted as a Sporting legend at halftime. Very deserved. Benny is truly a legend in every sense of the word, and got a great welcome and ovation from the crowd, and very deserved. But we were talking to him because he came up after halftime. We were talking to him in the press box and interviewing him, and we hear the crowd roar, and Benny looks up mid-interview and he goes, Daniel Shallowy scored that off of his left foot? He sat there and he goes, number 10 jersey's alive and well. And then he was kind of talked about how he was like, it must be, my aura, my presence here with number 10 just guided Daniel along into that goal. So,
and then you all, of course, laughed like he's the funniest person in the room.
We got to do. Yeah. Oh, Benny, you're so funny.
Of course.
Benny, I don't know. He's a very suave guy. He seemed like he recognized me from his playing days, but he I could have been somebody he'd never seen before, and he probably would have been like, good to see you again. So.
Probably so. Could be a fun time to get him on here, man, and like talk about stuff. I mean, he's still very much in the organization, coaching for SKC too, and I think it'd be nice to talk about his coaching a lot as well. Not so much his playing days, like those are done, but he's still very much doing other things too.
Yeah, that would be awesome. We'll definitely try to make that happen. But Daniel,
well, in the 65th minute, dude, I thought Orlando brought one back, and I was like, oh boy, it's 2-0. Now they got one. Here comes the onslaught, like they're going to come for us. And it was a beautiful little goal they set up there, but ended up being offsides.
Yeah.
Like, how stupid do you feel?
Well,
because it was gorgeous.
And it was pretty offside. I mean, so much so that it happened live, and it was right in front of the press box where the offside run happened, and all of us instantly like, that's coming back. Let's offside. Like, there wasn't even a second of hesitation where we actually thought the second guy might have been offside as well. It was
I thought the second guy was offside. I was like, really? How do you F that up?
Yeah, but the first guy was offside by like a full yard, if not more. So,
man.
But you're right. They almost pulled one back. And then in the 68th minute, just a couple minutes later, Willie Agata makes a, relatively reckless challenge and initially gets his second yellow. And then they go to VAR and they're like, actually, you know what? We changed our minds. It's not a yellow. It's a straight fucking red card.
So what's the point of that, by the way?
There's technicality in terms of record keeping. There's technicality in terms of yellow card accumulations and potential future suspensions and disciplinary committee rulings and all that stuff.
So it won't go. So it'll go down as him getting a red card instead of another yellow.
Correct.
Gotcha. It's pretty weird. Like, I mean, it was reckless. He was a little late, a little lazy on it.
He was high, studs up. I mean, if this is one of those calls where if roles would have been reversed and that happened to a sporting player and that wasn't given as a red card, I would have been mad because he got full studs, high ankle. It was dangerous. He didn't mean to, but intent isn't considered as part of the ruling when looking at red cards.
So that's true. We'll have him on Tuesday, and I highly expect him to go balls out on Tuesday because he'll be missing the next game. Yeah. So look for a little Willie Agata brace / hat trick, calling it right now.
And there's no game next weekend for sports.
Exactly.
So it's going to be a minute before Willie's back. So, yeah, you're right. He's probably going to start, and he's probably going to go the full 90, if not 120, if it, God forbid, goes to extra time. But
I would think he's locked in, too, man. I would think he's going to play well.
Yeah.
I would hope this to be a Willie Agata game if he reacts how most competitive athletes do when this kind of thing happens.
Yeah. He goes out, 68th minute. You're thinking, okay, 22 minutes left. I turn to Daniel Sperry, who's sitting next to me, and I go, Sporting should be able to see out a 2-goal lead with 20 minutes left, even down a man. And he kind of looked at me and was like, yeah, but, you
probably shouldn't have said that. That's rough. I might have slapped you right in the mouth.
If I had jinxed it that way and I was like, yeah, be able to do it. But, yeah, I mean, they did honestly a pretty good job. They galvanized and sort of locked in. And you look at some of the changes that were made post red card. Remy Voltaire came on for Zoran Basong, Logan and Denbei came on for Tim Leibold. And, Alan Polito and Johnny Russell had already come on a few minutes before the red card. And they did a pretty good job sort of holding tight, not really giving a lot to Orlando. Then 12 minutes of stoppage time go on the board, and that's when I got scared. I got more scared when 12 minutes of stoppage time was shown on the board than I did knowing that there was 20 minutes left.
Yeah, that was a little worrisome. I don't know exactly where the 12 came from. I know the red card thing took a minute. But guess what? We have a little French magic on our team, my friend. We got a little Remy Voltaire. Heard of him?
Remy Voltaire. And this started off with a throw-in, Kyrie to Johnny. And Johnny does this wonderful little backheel flick to Eric Tommy. Who was it, Eric Tommy that he sends it to? I don't remember. Hold on. Now I'm questioning myself. I thought it was, but it's hard to see who it is. It might have been Polito, honestly. I think it's Polito that he actually sends the flick onto. And that's really what sets this up, where Polito sends the cutting ball back to the top of the box, and Voltaire, just a laser strike, down a man, past the keeper, 3-0. And even though at that point there was 11 minutes left, that sealed it. I suddenly had no more fears. I was not any more worried about the most dangerous league in sports. And I felt real good about Sporting KC seeing that one out.
Takes one touch and fires it at the top of that arch up there. I'm telling you, man, we score some outside the box goals. We do not mess around. It is crazy that we scored these kinds of things. And tell you what, a lot of people took the shirts off in the audience.
Yeah.
A lot of people are shirtless. It's interesting. I remember being in the Calder one time, and a security guy told him to put his shirt back on, and the guy goes, I am known for taking my shirt off. And I was like, holy shit, this guy's known for taking his shirt off? This guy's wild.
I didn't know that was a requirement.
I didn't know that.
To keep your shirt on as a dude
right.
all the time, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it makes sense when I think about it. I've never considered just ripping my shirt off in celebration. So
I haven't either. I mean, it's whatever, whatever compels you, let's all take them off, free the nip, whatever you want to do.
You just see shirtless dudes all the time at like NFL games that like, it never would have crossed my mind that like, oh, it's not allowed.
Definitely not. I think you should start painting your body up in the press box, bro. Just if you could just paint a shirt on yourself, a jersey.
I'll try that next time. I'll just paint a plaid button down on me and go up to the press box, and
that'd be wonderful.
Patrick will be like, what are we doing? I'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about, Patrick. I'm just here.
Trying to blend in, bro. Trying to blend in with the crowd. I'm known for painting my body, Patrick.
I'm known for
this.
They held on to
taking their shirt off. Damn it, no one's known for that.
Nobody is. Between one of us would know about this guy if he was known for taking his shirt off.
I would think so. Very funny.
Knowing about Sporting Jesus and Brisket Bob and all the other people that are out there. The safari hat, hard hat guys. Like we've seen them all, but I've never heard of a man who takes his shirt off.
We're gonna get messages now like, you don't know Shirtless Scott? Like it's gonna be a thing.
Not only was I happy that they won the game, I was happy that they saw out the shutout. I mean, this is only the third league shutout of the year. And, even though it's, again, probably doesn't mean anything, almost certainly in terms of playoff hopes or anything after that, it's still a fun experience to watch Sporting Kansas City win a game. It's more fun when it's 3-0, and it's a really fun locker room to go into. It's just a lot more fun to be around that a winning team. So I was happy, and I'm happy that it gave him confidence going into this really important US Open Cup game on Tuesday night against the Indy 11.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. Now,
good time, dude.
Yeah, this game, I think it's hard, even for myself. I think it's hard for some people to not just assume this will be a win because, it's a USL team. Like, we're at home. We're an MLS team. Like, this broke easy for Sporting Kansas City. They cannot go into this match with that mentality.
I don't want to move forward yet until we acknowledge who our match is. And I do want to say the Holiday Distillery toast of the match. I think we both have differing points of view, and I'm going to take the easy one. And it's the guy who was selected to the MLS team of the match day presented by Audi, and it's Jake Davis. I mean, we don't win this game without his goal, him taking it into his own hands like that, dribbling into the box. So, Jake Davis, chef's kiss, my man. Holiday Distillery toast of the match from your boy. Who were you thinking?
Jake Davis, a worthy Holiday Distillery toast of the match recipient here. Can't really argue with it, but who I'm going to go with Daniel Shallowy. Daniel Shallowy, Holiday Distillery toast of the match. For me, just because, one, he had a goal and an assist. His lung-busting run from when he clears the ball, like you talked about, deep in Sporting Kansas City territory, and then busted his ass to get to the end of the field and ultimately ends up being the one scoring the goal off of his left foot. That's a Holiday Distillery toast of the match worthy play. And it was his 100th goal contribution for Sporting Kansas City across all competitions.
Where are you seeing he had an assist?
I realized as soon as I said an assist, I was like, you know what? I don't think he did. I think I got him confused. He had a goal. He didn't have an assist. So thank you for clarifying. I appreciate that.
I was confused too. I opened up some stats here and I was like, did he see this somewhere? And I didn't see that.
I thought he had one of those secondary hockey assists, and then I was, you know what? I don't know that he did. But it is a bit
of a comeback game to get a goal like that. Daniel, he needs it. So I am excited for that confidence.
And not
only his second this year?
Is that really? Only his second?
So.
Jeez.
Jake Davis has more with 3.
But, I mean, just like you said, to clear that ball and then make the full-length run of the field and then be rewarded with it, and then off of his unfavored left foot still to be able to put it away, it's worth it for me. And congrats for the 100th goal contribution across all competitions. Johnny actually got a 100th goal contribution, I believe, in MLS matches in the same game.
Yes. He also managed to get a yellow card in the 99th minute. I just can't. I hate that. I hate that you're 3-0 and we're getting cards. Like, what?
Was it dissent?
Unsporting behavior.
Yeah. He was probably mad at the ref because the ref sucked. The ref was awful.
Okay. Evergreen, baby.
I mean, the match was just horrifically called. Totally inconsistent. But
yeah.
So I don't blame Johnny. But you're right. Now we look to this match against the Indy 11 USL side. Don't want to overlook it, but do you find yourself even thinking, it's a USL team, and it's hard not to sort of fall into that trap as a fan?
Well, I mean, you really can't. But we've never met this team, we've never played them, which is kind of cool. This will go to extra time if it's tied, and then penalties after that if it's tied. Shit, man, we've never even faced a team from Indiana before. It's pretty wild. So I don't think you can underestimate these guys because they made it here. What are you going to do? They're currently in their league. They are 5th place in the Eastern conference.
Mm-hmm.
They've scored 35 goals. They've allowed 39.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think this is one to really, their journey in the Open Cup was Chicago Fire FC 2, San Antonio FC, Detroit City FC, and they beat Atlanta United FC. So they've only beaten one MLS team, but they've beaten an MLS team.
Yep. And it can happen. There are cup sets every year. Sporting have played on the road against USL sides before. They've beaten USL sides before. So, Indy's a very beatable team, but you still got to play the game. I mean, there are upsets all the time across sports. So I'm looking forward to it. I think that this will be a good match. I know our buddy Chip, the keeper of stats, he sent us a good long message that not only recapped some of what happened in the Orlando game, but he's done a little bit of digging into the Indy 11 and talks about sort of what we can expect in that game. So do you want to go ahead and read what Chip has to say?
Here we go. Chipper, thanks, man. Back in it. 3-0 win and time to pull up a cup of coffee or holiday distillery beverage, depending on the time of day. Let's take a look. SKC come through and have a win by 3 goals, which hasn't happened against a league opponent since last year when we beat St. Louis in the playoff match. The last time we did it in front of a home crowd, August 26, 2023 against San Jose. So yeah, it's been a bit, but it does feel pretty good. We even saw a Daniel Shallowy goal, which breaks his 728-minute goalless drought. Before last night, his last goal was the home game against Houston on May 11th. Lord knows we need more offense from the strikers, so I'm thrilled to see him back on the board. Here is hoping putting one in the net gives him confidence. The game against Orlando was significant for a few reasons. Not only was the offense banging on all cylinders, but the defense was also looking much better than it had in previous matches. While the start of the match had a bit of turbulence, Orlando was held to only 1 shot on target among 12 total shots, which comes out to 8.3% of their total shots. The only one time this season has Orlando been held to those numbers, and that was when they went 1 for 19 shots on target against LAFC back in June. But even with Facundo Torres and Duncan Maguire and their combined 15 goals for the season, the defense held strong and made sure Timmy didn't have to do much in the back. Given that SKC has been a consistently rocky team on defense, the back line looked calm and collected, with Tim Leibold coming through with clutch tackles throughout the game. The game also saw Basong playing in the midfield, so who knows what we're up to now with the roster. And now we move on to the Indy 11 US Open Cup game on Tuesday. Looking at the Indy 11 season matches, Indy went through a period with 8 wins in a row back from late April to mid-June. However, as of late, the season has gotten a bit rockier with only 1 win and 1 draw in the last 5 matches. At the same time, looking at some of their most recent matches, these are against some of the top-of-the-table clubs like the Charleston Battery, second in the league table with a plus 33 goal differential. Jesus Christ, seriously? Plus 33?
That's insane.
am like blurry vision here. And New Mexico United, first in the West and third in the league table. So it might just be them going through the roughest part of their schedule. You better bet they're coming into Children's Mercy Park with all they've got, though. For them, getting to the final as a USL side would be huge, and also the second time that it would have happened in 3 years. Sacramento Republic FC made it to the final in 2022 before losing to Orlando 3-0. Before then, the last time for a USL team to make it that far was in 2008 when the Charleston Battery got into the final. But I digress. Indy 11 play in USL Championship and are currently 5th in the East and 10th overall in the league. The Indy 11's attack comes from many angles, and their top scorer is a Scottish midfielder, Jack Blake, who has 8 on the season. But one of the big players to watch for Indy's attack is their defender, Aiden Stanley. He has 0 goals for the season, but he has 7 assists, putting him at 0.3 assists per 90. For reference, in MLS play, there are only 14 players who have 0.3 assists per 90 and have more than 20 90s played. That means that for Indy's 35 goals, Stanley has assisted on 20% of them. Indy 11 has 24 matches played, and Stanley has played in all but one of them and has played every single minute. The match he missed? The game last Saturday against the Las Vegas Lights. You know they're resting him for Tuesday, so we had better be ready to stop him. Here is hoping that the game doesn't get stormed on like the Dallas game and we'll be at the park until Wednesday. At least we have next weekend off, so we're not rushing into another game this weekend. Chip, thanks, man. That's good stuff.
That's awesome.
They totally did rest that guy for this reason, obviously. That's crazy.
Yeah. 7 assists is a pretty good amount, especially for a defender. So that's something that you're going to find out here on No Other Pod, thanks to Chip, the keeper of stats, that you might not know otherwise. So going into this game Tuesday night, look out for Aiden Stanley make sure that Sporting KC is able to get a body on him and make sure that they close him down and don't let him have any space to be able to whip the ball in for an assist.
What do you think about this stat that Tim Meila boasts a perfect 7-0 record in penalty shootouts during his professional career?
It's unreal.
5 of those have been at Sporting.
I've never had a goalkeeper. I've been a fan of a number of teams. I'm an Everton fan, and you're an English Premier League fan. You know how that's going to start the year. I'm a Borussia Dortmund fan, so I'm very familiar with Berkey, who's now over at St. Louis City because he spent time with Dortmund and whatnot. I have watched some of the best keepers in the world play, and never has there been a keeper where when they're facing a penalty kick, I'm as confident at them stopping the ball as I am with Tim Meila between the sticks. It's not a statistical anomaly at this point in his career that he's so good. He just truly has a gift and a skill for being able to not only study and prepare, but to read penalty takers as they're stepping up the ball and being able to know which way to go and his fast twitch muscle reaction and everything. It's just unreal. So
yeah,
I'm confident. I say I'm confident if we get to a penalty shootout. Penalty shootout, honestly, is probably the best way for Indy to win just because it is a little bit more random. But
I don't want to go there.
I don't either. But if we do somehow get our way to a penalty shootout, I'd much rather have Tim Meila in between the sticks than anyone else on the field. So
that's no doubt. I mean, everyone probably agrees with you there. But man, if it doesn't give you a few more gray hairs after a penalty shootout, we are sports fans, dude, and I will go to non-sports fans and they don't get it. They're like, what is this? This causes you stress. And I'm like, yeah, it does. It's pretty stupid. I agree with you.
Yeah. And you know what? The victory is never as good a feeling as the loss is crappy feeling.
No, dude. And I hate when I just get to yelling at the screen. Yeah. I'll be like, they can hear me. I'm like, look to your right. Look, he's open.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, look, and again, maybe that's I think I've talked about this before. Maybe that's the lament of a spoiled sports fan where I've had some pretty successful teams in my life. And I'm sure if you talk to a Royals fan who lost for 35 years and then won again, or 30 years and won the World Series, they'd probably say, you know what, that World Series felt a lot better than all those losing seasons did. But, it's just losing sucks.
They couldn't give Chiefs tickets away. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah. Now they're, some of the most expensive tickets in the league. But it is funny because penalty kicks as a neutral, there's almost nothing I love more. Like, sure. If I'm watching an Open Cup game or a Leagues Cup game or whatnot, and I don't have a dog in the fight, I am actively rooting for chaos and penalty kicks just because I want to see what happens. And then as a team, or as a fan of a team who's in a penalty shootout, like you said, there's nothing more nerve-wracking because I'm convinced every time we step up to take a kick that it's going to be saved, and every time they take a kick that it's more likely to go in.
No doubt.
So it's I was in Oregon last week visiting family and was at my cousin's work, meeting him for lunch. He's walking me around his office. It's insurance salesman, and he's introducing me to people. And the guy goes, "Oh, you're from Kansas City." Mark says, "You're a soccer fan." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I am." And then he turns a picture around of the double post game from the Portland Timbers. I almost punched that man right there in the face.
He has a picture of it?
He's got a picture of the celebration, and Saad Abdul Salam's like standing there, and I'm just like, why are we doing this? I've just met you.
Oh my!
And you're already just.
Did you leave? Like, why didn't you be like, hold on, I have to go take a massive dump in your office?
Well, he was sitting in his office. I should have just taken a shit right on his desk in front of him.
Luckily for you, I shit on desks. Hold on.
But it just reminded me of when penalty kicks don't go your way, how frustrating it is.
It is. And other fans latch onto it for like a decade.
It's been 10 years.
I can't do it. I can't even. I don't remember nothing from 10 years ago, man. Like, it is crazy.
They named a whole damn bar after it, the double post bar at the stadium.
Did they go on to win? They went on to win MLS Cup.
They went on to win MLS Cup that year.
Okay.
That's a little bit of it.
Pretty special. Yeah.
But, I don't know. But, I mean, speaking of teams that won championships, Columbus, I want to talk about them for a little bit here before we sign off, because they're a team that I almost want to say quietly, because if you're not an MLS fan, you probably aren't as familiar with the Columbus Crew, but you look at what they've done over the last 12 to 18 months, winning MLS Cup, now winning Leagues Cup over LAFC, making it to the final of CONCACAF Champions Cup. Someone on Twitter pointed out to me that Columbus has more trophies since LAFC came into the league than LAFC does.
Bro, they also like their MLS Next Pro team won their league as well. Like they've been really had quite the glow up since their owner was going to sell them and shit.
Oh, it's just wild to think about.
Or was going to move them, right?
He was going to move. Yeah, Anthony Precourt was just going to basically kidnap the team under the cover of darkness and move them to Texas. And then there was the whole Save the Crew movement. And then the MLS basically had to step in and be like, fine, we'll give you a franchise in Austin. Just leave the Crew. And then they've become one of the most successful teams in the league. And I guess what I'm curious about is, does it give you hope as an SKC fan, knowing that Columbus, Ohio isn't exactly New York City or Miami or LA or Chicago, and they're not bringing in the same level of jersey sales revenue or media revenue or what have you, sponsorship dollars that Miami or LA are. And yet they're arguably the most successful team in the league right now. And Columbus is relatively comparable to Kansas City. So it almost makes you wonder, okay, well, if Peter Vermees and co can figure out how to right this ship, Columbus might be a model to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives me a little bit of hope. I mean, a little Midwest action. I never been up to see a game in Columbus, but the way they're getting shit done, they're selling out the crowd, man. It's a good time.
Well, and we've had a front row seat to it a couple times this year with Cucho Hernandez. I mean, he might be the best player in the league that's not named Lionel Messi. And honestly, considering how few games Lionel Messi's playing, I might rather choose Cucho Hernandez right now than Lionel Messi if I had to start a team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's just dominating. And so shout out to the Crew. They've nailed their transfer moves. They've been really smart with, and it's a mix. I mean, they still have Darlington Nagbe playing midfield for them. He's been around since forever, back with the Timbers and Atlanta, and he's still getting serious minutes. So they've found a good mix of MLS 2.0 talent and figuring out how to spend wisely, sell some players for a profit. They're great. So maybe Sporting Kansas City over the next couple windows can sort of emulate that Columbus mentality. Peter Vermees said on the radio this past week that the number one spot that Sporting is looking for is a number 10, and their objective will be to get a player in the winter window. He did say if there's a better opportunity in the summer, they'd wait, but he says that they're trying in the winter window to get a number 10. And then he went on to say, in these next couple windows, we're going to be very, very active. So if Sporting can look at what Columbus has done and try to emulate that a little bit, maybe they can find some success and there's an opportunity to rebuild this club. But I don't know. We'll see.
Great.
So, is there anything else that you want to touch on before we call it quits for this episode?
Nah, man, let's get out of here and hopefully we're heading to the Open Cup final, which is next month.
Yeah, I think we got a little bit of time.
Okay.
So, but yeah, thank you all so much for listening. It's fun to be back here for an MLS victory pod. Hopefully we'll be back next week with a US Open Cup victory pod. But make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NoOtherPod, at Dan Kooser, at JCMac03. Leave us a 5-star rating and review if you can. We'd appreciate it. Make sure you check out that text line. As you can see, we read the text here when we get them to come in. So send us a question or a comment to the KCSN hotline powered by Mint Mobile at 913-407-6524. You can send us an email, nootherpod@gmail.com. And check us out on YouTube, KCSN Soccer, or via the Kansas City Sports Network app. But until next time, he's Dan. I'm Jimmy. We'll catch y'all later. See ya.
Those aliens got acid blood, bro.